welcome back to the Radical Race Series. We are here in the Circuit de Barcelona, or Catalunya as we know it. And what an incredible circuit this is. This circuit opened officially in 1991. Now, it broke ground in 1989. We are here at the Grand Prix circuit. It's 2.905 miles or 4.675 kilometers, 16 turns. Now, this configuration of circuit actually was used, it opened in 2021 to the present, so it was the motorcycle circuit as well. But previously that, it's had 10 configurations where 2 are in use today. So you've got myself, James Parfitt, and Ewan O'Leary in the booth with you to guide you through this absolute epic evening of racing. We do our back to the sprint and feature here tonight. We've got an 8-lap sprint, a 14-lap feature with a top 10 reverse, and we've also got 10 minutes of quality. Now, last time out in Rudskogen for the endurance, it was Simon Edwards with a win, Luke Maxwell in second. Dan Webster recovering from his spin on lap 1 in turn 1 to finish an absolute amazing third place. And what an incredible race that was. You can go back and watch it as well. Welcoming Phil across the pond, Craig Jones as well, Damien G, thank you so much. Damien, as always, I'm running late, I'm eating food. Well, that's no exception, we expect that already. But I think it's time now to bring the one, the only, Mr. Ewan O'Leary into the booth. Good evening, Ewan, how are you?
Good evening, doing well, and looking forward to another Radical Race Series event, I guess. Can't say race anymore because it is 2 in one night, and we're going to see this format return quite a lot for the next 6 races. This format will be used until we get to our finale at the Nordschleife. So yeah, looking forward to it. Sprint racing back again, reverse grids back again, and a circuit that's not that easy to overtake, so it will be an interesting event.
Yeah, I think we're going to be looking that run off turn 16 down into turn 1 will be their best opportunity, I feel, for an overtake here this evening. I can't see it happening through that infield section. Maybe if somebody makes a mistake, somebody might pick up a place, but I've got a funny feeling it's going to be that start-finish straight that's going to provide most of the action down into turn 1.
Yeah, I think so. Well, to be fair, I say that before every race at Barcelona, and then turns out there are a few more opportunities as well. I find that particularly turn 4 often surprises me with its chances to overtake. Not really sure why, but because it comes after 3 quite high-speed corners, and you'd expect there not really to be an overtaking opportunity. A corner, in all honesty, it doesn't have much of a braking zone either, but for some reason it works. And there is quite a lot of opportunity down there, and there is here as well down at turn 10 where Phil Glover is right now, when you really get on the brakes for the tightest corner on the circuit. So yeah, there are opportunities. It's not quite like Formula 1. These radicals are a little bit more. They like racing each other a little bit more, maybe, than they do in the Formula 1 cars. So it should still be good racing, even if it will be very much a challenge to overtake.
Yeah, absolutely. What we can do is have a quick look at the standings from the current, as where we're at currently before this race. As you can see, Simon Edwards is leading the way on 241, John McCutcheon on 214, Dan Webster on 191, Paul Clark on 150, up 1 place, Luke Maxwell up 3 on 148, James Child on 133, David Rolliston also up 3 on 131, Mike Bousson down 4, returns this week on 130, Martina Ward on 125, Paul LeMay on 121, Robert Woodward on 121 as well. Then beyond that, we've got Darryl Taylor on 119, Jamie Bird on 108, Colin Wynn down 3 on 104. He's still out. Colin has still got issues there as well, so get well soon, Mr. Colin Wynn. Thank you so much for joining us if you are here in chat. David Ward on 89, and we've got Damien G in 16th, Phil Glover 17th, George Gonzaga is down in 18th place. So just bear with me while I bring it up the next lot. There we go. Andrew Derrick there on 77. He's in 19th place. Seth Brown on 20th. Graham Brown 21st. David Beasley 22nd. The other Graham Brown in 24th. Phil Jocelyn is in 25th. Now, Michael LeMay, Richard Brown and Scott Lear, I haven't got any points at the moment. I haven't seen them actually this season as well, even though they were initially down for the season. Is this, Ewan, the Simon Edwards season? Is he going to dominate? That's going to run away with it before we even get to Nords?
I think some people would argue there's already been 4 of them, to be fair. But it could well be. I think the championship lead he currently has flatters him a little bit in terms of when the drop weights get applied, as we always say. Things might well get a lot closer, but I do think that John McCutcheon will be very eager to close some of that margin down again with this race. He's 37 points behind at this stage, and it's not a desperate situation just yet with 7 rounds to go, but it is worth not losing any more points, and as you can see, he's right up there as well with Luke Maxwell, who's up there in this this practice session right now as well. He'll be could even jump up to 3rd with the drop weeks, not entirely sure. Dan Webster's doing well as well, but he is about half a second away in this practice session right now. Although we've seen that from Dan Webster in the past, to be fair. Doesn't often do that well in practice or whatever, and then sticks with them in the race, so we'll see about him. But I don't think John McCutcheon will want to lose any more points, even at this distance from the end.
No, he's in YouTube at the moment. He's put evening, James, so evening, John. As you were talking there about it as well, when we said about is this Simon Edwards' season, John put no. So,
Well, he would say that, wouldn't he?
Yeah, he's still, the Scotsman still feels he's got some William Wallace fight in him, and he's still going to be able to partake in that, which I'm hoping he does. But it's how tough is it? Let's put it that way, right? Let's put it in a nice way. How tough is it to stop Simon Edwards? Because even when he seems to have a bad day, he has a good day and lucks into some luck that goes ahead of him. We've seen it this season. He wasn't doing that well. The top 2 got into it, and he come through. And he's kind of lucked into some places. But is that what makes him so good? He's just there when at the right time, right place, right time for Simon Edwards.
Well, you could argue that it's not luck either, that he does place himself in those positions because he knows what he's doing. He knows how to get around the field, and he knows how to get out of trouble, stay out of trouble, and get to the end in that way. I would certainly argue that has been the case in some of the feature races so far that we've seen. Coming across problems. I remember that the very first feature race at Laguna Seca just knows how to get his way through that reverse grid after winning. I think he won or came second in the sprint race, and then fought his way through in the feature very well to another second place, I believe. So he knows how to get through these races, and that's exactly why he's been able to stay so consistent, despite the fact that a new challenge has been thrown in front of him this season. He's still able to rise to it, but he does have challenges, of course he does, in the form of John McCutcheon, and Dan Webster still hovering there as well.
Yeah, they certainly are. Good evening, Mr. Colin Wynn. We've just spoken about you. Get well soon. I hope you're on the mend. We are here on board with Mr. Paul Clark from iLounge Racing. You can go and check them out at iLoungeRacing.co.uk. One of the sponsors here as well. I had the pleasure of meeting Paul this weekend. I was up at the Autosport International in Birmingham. Paul was up there with his Jeff Gordon NASCAR, mind you, of all things. Absolute pleasure to meet him as well. An amazing guy to talk to, and we spent a while together and had a good old chat as well. Met Phil Glover. He was up there, and also Damien G. Met Damien G as well. It was a strange moment. Me and Ewan was talking off broadcast. Somebody did randomly walk up to me and just go, "Hi, James." And I was stood there for a good minute or so staring at him thinking, please tell me who you are, because I have no idea. You've seen me, I haven't seen you. And it was only when it's Damien. I was like, "Oh, hello, mate. You all right? How's it going?" But no clue up to that point, Ewan, who the hell he actually was, with some random person calling me and telling me hello. So it was quite an interesting one.
I'll tell you the craziest part about that sentence actually is the fact that you just said upping Birmingham, a place that is like nearly 2 hours below me, but whatever. That's the geography.
Hey, I'm in the southwest of England, mate. Everything's above us.
I know. I remember you said I went up to London the other day as well, a few weeks ago. That was quite an experience as well. But anyway, it is weird, and thankfully I've not come across that yet, to be honest, and I hope I don't. But there we are. It would be weird, all that. But yeah. Found out who they were anyway.
Yeah, it's always good when somebody comes and you find out what their names are at the moment they tell you. That's the thing, right? I live in the southwest of England, right? I'm way down south. It took me nearly 3 hours to get to Birmingham. I'm that far down. You know what I mean? And I think everything is up. everything is up. There's nothing down apart from Cornwall and Devon, and you can't get much further down. Yeah, basically you got Portsmouth and the sea. That's about it. We spent days down at Weymouth with the family and stuff, and that's down as well. Everything's down. Nothing, and then beyond that, above, everything is up. If we want to go anywhere major like London, we've got to go up, and Birmingham is up, and everywhere else is up. But that is the joys of living in a very small town in sunny Somerset that's got more sheep than we have human beings. So there we go. What more can you ask for here as well? Now, the interesting thing as well, we've got the return of Austin Greatorex. He is back this week, of course. Austin last season did a few races, and then he went off and did another series, and he's only just come back here for this one. Now, also returning as well, we have Sergio Martinez de la Cruz. He is back in it. I believe Ewan, you said he was here a couple of seasons ago?
He was quite regular, actually, a couple of seasons ago. I couldn't quite remember if it was last season or not, but it must have been at least 2 seasons ago. At least season 3 of last year, maybe even season 2. I've watched these guys for quite a while now, and they do tend to merge into one these seasons, so I'm not entirely sure. But De La Cruz, very much a sort of top 10 fringes of the top 5 kind of driver, I would say. It just depends kind of what speed he's up to at this stage, really, because just because we haven't seen him for a while doesn't mean he hasn't been driving, but then again, it may well mean he hasn't been driving, so that may well see him outside of the top 10 just for today, but I know he's very capable of a comfortable top 10 performance in qualifying particularly, and in the races as well, and can even race his way to the fringes of the top 5 as well. So yeah, if he's not there, then I think we can decide that maybe he hasn't been driving in the time we haven't seen him. But maybe he will still be up to speed. You never know.
Yeah, hopefully we will as well. Now, one of the interesting things is Mike Bousson. Mike joined with about 15 minutes left of practice. He merely pointed out to see if he can get grips with this in 15 minutes. Well, Mike, your proof is in the pudding, son. Let's see what times you can get on the board, as we've got Dan Webster here as well. So let's see how these all get on. We are in qualifying now, so sit back and enjoy. We do have a 10-minute qualifying, 3 laps, and then we go into the sprint. Then we've got the inverted top 10 for the 14-lap feature race here this evening. And I'm hoping it isn't how we're predicting. I'm hoping that some people take that move down here into turn 14 and then run off, and then maybe get them down into turn 1. And we're signalling turn 1 as the main point, and that's purely because of this very long straight. They've got a long while to make the move before they hit turn 1.
They have. It's a very long straight, and well, pretty much the length of the circuit, really, if you think about it geographically. So it is a big opportunity, and we are going to see it used. The only problem with it, really, and the only problem with turn 1 is that it's not a very large braking zone, and that makes it quite fun to drive. Really, it's medium speed, high speed through those first few corners. This whole track flows very well, but it's not great in terms of you really need that long braking zone to actually make a move. And so it doesn't make it that good. But in qualifying right now, low fuel, new tyres. These guys will be very much enjoying this circuit, I'd imagine. Or maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. What's the general consensus on this circuit? If you are here listening in chat and you have driven this circuit, let us know what you feel about it. We do have Simon Edwards on pole, Dan Webster in 4th, David Royston. They're doing an absolutely stunning job currently in the 2nd. John McCutchinson is out on track, the Scotsman there as well. Let's see what he's able to do. We've got Luke Maxwell going purple in Sector 1. I've driven this track in the SR8. I've never been round in the SR10. And I don't mind it. I think that's one of the things with this circuit is I don't mind the circuit. Don't get me wrong, I've not raced here in a league race. I've raced here in officials, which, as we know, can be complete and utter chaos, or they can be good. So, it's hit and miss, really. All the races I've had here have been good. So, from a race perspective, I'm hoping it should be a nice, good, clean race, because it's a wide circuit as well. They've got space to go, haven't they? It's not like Rudskogen, where it was quite tight. They've got spaces to go here at Catalunya if it does get tight.
Yeah, the outside of the circuit do punish you on occasion, but you can see through here that they've got sort of a balance between the tarmac runoff and also actually punishing mistakes. But the actual wall is quite far away. I would expect to see cars making contact with each other, maybe ending up in the gravel, maybe. But in terms of actually making contact and heavy contact with the wall, much less likely than it was at Rudskogen, where we definitely saw that. From a few of the drivers getting into the wall. So, yeah, I wouldn't expect to see that necessarily, but we will see mistakes and we will see cars off in the gravel because mistakes are punished around here. They also do have some of those very silly sausage curbs on the outside. At least they run parallel with the circuit this time, and they're not completely perpendicular, but even so, they're not a great idea, and grass is better, but whatever. They've gone for the parallel sausage curbs, as you can see out of this corner here, and they probably do serve as a purpose out of a hairpin like that. But even so, probably not a great idea, to be quite honest. But anyway, they pop up everywhere.
Yeah, what do we expect in conjunction with them sausage curbs? Are we expecting cars to be launching off into the air? Are they? Because we're very low, aren't we? We know this with the Radical. It's so low to the ground. One little hit of a sausage curb and you're likely to be going up in the air. We're seeing we're on board boosts on at the moment. What can Mike do? 1:39. Last lap was a 1:39.7. So he's not too far off. But regarding the sausage curbs, what do we think? Can they launch the car if they get onto them or hit them at a pace that they shouldn't?
I don't think that we'll see cars launched, to be honest. Unless you're going right across the chicanes and going over the anti-cuts, then maybe you would get launched. But because they're parallel, I think they'll be all right, to be honest. And so that's why they're better than the perpendicular ones, because you won't quite get launched in the same way. Maxwell and Edwards have had a good fight for the pole here, but it looks like Maxwell has taken it. John McCutcheon's not quite done yet, though, and he is less than half a second away from pole. Oh dear! Well, he's going to stay there. 6th position for John McCutcheon with that spin out of turn 5. But some great performances inside the top 5 there, with LeMay and Rolliston getting into the second row there. Very close qualifying with the first 3 rows separated by about half a second.
So there we go, guys, as well. We've only got a couple that haven't completed the 3 laps. Damien G is one of them from Rad Sports Sim Racing. No surprise. Earlier on, Damien G did come in chat and said he's running late, he was eating. Well, we associate Damien G with food. Every series that I commentate on with Damien G, there's some form of something going on. And as Colin Wynn knows, it's normally a takeaway of some sort that Damien G is munching before the race. It's kind of like his pre-race ritual. He normally ends up eating something. So there we go. So Damien G running behind because he was eating. Random, I know, but he does it every single time he does it. He's on a race in there as well. Got the John McCutcheon is back out on track. We don't have 55 seconds remaining. He's only done 2 1/4 laps, so it's going to be interesting to see what. I don't even think he can get a lap in, actually, to be honest. No, he's not.
He can't get a lap in, no. And no. It wouldn't count anyway, because this is technically his 3rd lap now, and the time has already gone over 2 minutes, so that's not going to beat his best time. Still in the first sector, has just got into the second one, so just a bit of practice, really, I'd imagine, same for Phil Glover. But the session's going to end very shortly, and we'll be into the race. I think McCutcheon's going to be disappointed though with his qualifying position, because he'll feel that he had the pace for a little bit more, and he may feel that if he's not careful, he might let Maxwell and Edwards get away before he can latch onto them and go with them in this race, because I think he does have the pace to do that, but maybe not the position in this qualifying session.
Yeah, we are coming to the end right about now. So we will be able to bring the grid up for you here this evening. You see Luke Maxwell is in first, Simon Edwards second, Paul LeMay third, David Rolliston fourth, Dan Webster fifth, John McCutcheon sixth, Paul Crabb seventh, Martina Ward eighth, James Child ninth, Mike Buson 10th, Austin Gretorix in 11th, Sergio Cruz is in 12th place. Then beyond that, Graham Brown in 13th, Paul Clark 14th, Darryl Taylor 15th, Damien G 16th, Seth Brown 17th, David Beasley 18th, and Phil Glover down in 19th place. So not too long now while the cars get onto the grid, ready to go here for this amazing race at Catalunya. Luke Maxwell, Simon Edwards out in front, which is what... I don't know if we was expecting that really, but being that they're consistent, Ewan, I think it was probably a given that they were going to be in and around the top spot.
Yeah, I don't think it's too big of a surprise really to see them on the front row together. But it's going to be a good fight between them, I think, but it's not going to be a very long one. Only 8 laps around here today for this first race anyway. A little bit longer with the feature, of course, but yeah, not a long race. A short battle, but should be an interesting one between the front row.
Yeah, absolutely. We haven't got Ryan. We are just waiting for Austin Gretorix to get on to the starting grid. He has done now. The lights are going to be coming on very shortly. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we are go here in Spain. An incident to the back. Paul Clark has spun up. And he's gone round at the back, off the grid. Here as well, Simon Edwards is on the inside from Luke Maxwell there, leading us off with Dan Webster behind him. Can Luke Maxwell hang it off round the outside as he goes through turn 2 on his run round turn 3, Ewan? Paul Clark spun up on the line, he's gone round to take people now, but at the moment it's Luke Maxwell and Simon Edwards.
Yeah, disaster at the back, but a great fight at the front between Simon Edwards and Luke Maxwell, who might just about to lose that first place. Oh, he's going to hang it round very well, but that corner was just a little bit too long for him to do that, really. Too fast in the middle, really. And now Dan Webster's even going to challenge for second place, although it's a long way around there as well. So Simon Edwards is going to take the lead here ahead of Luke Maxwell. Dan Webster just behind. LeMay in fourth, Rolliston, Buson, De La Cruz, and then John McCutcheon. It's not been a very good start for him, back in 8th place when he clearly wanted to move forward off of that start.
Yeah, he absolutely did. I want to have a quick look why they're on that intersection at the Paul Clark incident. Here we go, we can just see him there in the middle. That is Paul, the 5th one up from the bottom. He gets away, but then he just kind of spins up. Oh, round he goes. Ooh. And then there was another one further down. That was James Child as well, going further down the order. So James Child doing the same thing, spinning off the line. But here we go now with John McCutcheon out in front there, chasing down De La Cruz with Austin Gretorix tucked up right behind him.
Yeah, and this is the problem for him now. He's going to get stuck in traffic. De La Cruz, by the way, has done a very good job here off of the start, because he started in about 12th, 13th place, up to 7th. So clearly has been keeping himself sharp, and he still knows what to do in a Radical Race Series event, and no surprise there really. McCutcheon, though, is going to find out just how difficult it is to overtake around here in these cars. Is it really going to be a huge challenge for these drivers or not? Well, on this opening lap it seems that it has been a bit of a challenge, because he does look quicker, but just not quite quick enough in the right areas, not putting his car in the right areas maybe to get through. Down the inside now though at turn 5, and De La Cruz giving him a very wide berth.
Yeah, so John McCutcheon up the inside of 7. Damien G's just about near enough, having this battle with Phil Glover. Oh, they're on their run down from 5, down through 6, coming into 7. It's Damien G behind in the white with black and red, and obviously Phil up in front there as well. But Sergio De La Cruz is not giving up currently, Ewan. He's still tucked up behind McCutcheon. Rollo spun. David Rolliston spun the car round. And unfortunately for Rollo on lap 2, that could be it. Paul Clark, Damien G. Paul Clark has cleared G now, so that's Clark up into 15th place. Rollo spun, and unfortunately he's down all the way down in 13th after his excellent qualifying but Seth Brown has got David Beasley right up behind him as well.
Yeah, Seth Brown been recovering. He was sort of taken out in that in Paul Clark's. Well, I don't want to say spin off of the line because it wasn't quite, but it was very unorthodox, I suppose. Getting off the line, Seth Brown ended up making contact and did scrape along the wall a little bit as well, from what I could see. So I think he's just making progress here, and he should be able to get away from Beasley. But you never know; there may well be a fight between these two on the way. But they're in and around that top 10, all-important top 10, of course. The top 10 reversed at the end of this one for the start of the feature race, so it's really important to, not finish 11th really, because you'll just about miss out on a first place start for the second race.
Yeah, Mike Bousson with John McHutchison right behind him, both from Team Redline, both in their independent liveries for this series, because there is no team championship, so it's all about who can solo it. And at the moment it is Bousson in front of LeMay. Might be ideal if I didn't have the grandstand in the way there. I'd apologise for that very poor camera shot if you didn't see anything. But it is Bousson half a second back at the moment. Beasley's down in 13th there as well in the mix. Paul Clark trying to make his way back through, currently in 15. One of the interesting things about that as well is when I spoke to Paul over the weekend, he did say that he started to nail his starts in the SR10, and he'll either get off the line really well and others don't move in front of him, like he had that incident with Martina Ward where Martina didn't go anywhere and he did. But then we come into Catalunya where he got the jump off the line, didn't he? But unfortunately it was just too much, or there was something went on, because that back end wouldn't have come round going in a straight line like that.
Yeah, it's a little bit weird, but hard to really get to the bottom of it, really, to be honest. So we'll keep wondering, I think, and I'm not going, unless someone wants to tell us. But anyway, yeah, ours will continue. John McHutchison still going to try and get through. Can't really for the moment. And this is my fear really with this car, with this circuit. Put some really understeering there, by the way, but yeah, it's just going to be difficult for anybody to make their way through the field. And I thought this when McHutchison was starting from 6th, never mind dropping to 8th on the first lap and then remaining there until the end of the first lap. The leaders are going to be long gone by the time he gets to them, even if he does get to 4th or 3rd place. Edwards and Maxwell are going to be gone by that point.
Why? Let's give everybody an understanding of at home when we talk about difficult tracks, Ewan. Why is it so difficult here at Catalunya to pass, considering the space you've got, considering heavy braking zone going down well, not a heavy braking zone, but braking zone going down into 10, down into 5, you've got the run round Repsol at 4. Why are they finding it so difficult to overtake?
I think it's just the amount of high to medium speed corners that there are around here. It really prevents you from staying close. The air off of these cars that work in a little bit, but it's a case in any category really, unless they're really, really slow cars. But any category really, you just can't follow that closely. There's not the slow speed corners. That's why turn 1 is often the chosen one, because not only is there a really long straight to use the slipstream, but there's actually some slow corners finally towards the end of the lap that can help you just a little bit. But you need some more of those sections really across the lap to be able to get closer. You just see here, Greatorex is very, very close to the back of De La Cruz, going around turn 3, but just can't stay close enough, can't take the right line, can't follow, and can't make the move. And also the short braking zones here. Most moves, overtaking moves, if you really think about them, are made under brakes, and when you're not on the brakes for that long, it's hard to do it.
Yeah, definitely on that one. So we've got Maxwell has got the gap down from about, well, I was just about to say he got it down from 5 tenths. It's just gone back out there as well. McHutchison is still battling away with Bousson. Greatorex is still going with De La Cruz. And then we've got Paul Clark down here with Phil Glover. So it'd be interesting to see if we can maybe grab a chat with Paul if he hangs around long enough to be able to do that. Greatorex has cleared De La Cruz just as I come away, which is always typical. But he manages to get him on that run down into turn 10. That's Austin Greatorex now running after Mike Bousson. He's just lost the position to John McHutchison. So clearly there's overtakes to be had. Damien G has been involved in an incident here. There is Damien G. That's Paul Crabb And Martina Ward down at the order. We can have a look back and see what happened to these guys.
It certainly looked like something had happened to them all. It might happen in front here, and I think Damien G is going to embark on the issue, maybe. Or is he going to have it on his own? Oh, it is on his own. Oh, and gets hit quite badly there as well by Crab. Yeah, I don't know if he was distracted by the battle in front or whether it was just completely on his own there, Damien G. But he certainly did get whacked by Paul Crab, and they might well both have damage after that.
Yeah, we are now back, and it is Damien G being chased down by Martina Ward here. Currently down battle for 17th and 18th place. Seth Brown is another person who's under attack from David Rolliston. Colin Wynn did put a prediction in chat. He said Rollo in 10th, start pole in the feature. So there you go. You don't get the slipstream that you used to in the SR8, said Colin Wynn. So that could explain why we were talking about the difficulties of overtaking. If that slipstream that we perceive to be so strong is not strong in the SR10 as we thought it would be, that could be why we see the type of racing that we do here at the moment.
Yeah, possibly. I find it hard to say that it's the main issue, really, because I think a lot of categories do have this problem, although that's of course contributing. Roddeston, they're trying to make up positions again, and unfortunately not being able to from Seth Brown into turn 11. But yeah, I think in most categories you'd struggle around here. Reference Formula 1 earlier on. The slipstream of those cars is significant, but the dirty air is so significant as well that it's really hard around this circuit. Even GT3s have problems when they come here, so we can speak a lot about the slipstream and dirty air and whatever, but it does tend to be a track thing from time to time as well.
Yeah, Simon Edwards, Luke Maxwell and Dan Webster are now within a second of each other. This gap has rapidly come down as we are on lap 7. We're going to have one more to go. Rollo has not cleared Brown, and I don't think he's going to get up to Taylor. There's a 5-second gap in a lap, and I think Rollison will be starting, possibly if he clears Brown, down in 11th place. That is, of course, Seth Brown, not Graham Brown, who's a little bit 2 places up above him at the moment. We've only got 2 Browns to contend with this week, which I think is a relief for myself and Ewan after having 3 and whatnot going on. So there we go. But it's a difficult game, this commentating malarkey, when you've got 3 people with the same name.
It is, yeah. It's not easy. Graham with an E and all that. But I think I called him that a couple of seasons ago because it was just easier. Yeah, anyway, it's difficult and not made, to be fair, not made easier by the fact that the 3 of them are not that dissimilar on pace either. No. So that's not helpful. It'd be great if one of them was really good and one of them was really bad, because we'd always know, but that's not the case, unfortunately.
They're all the same, aren't they?
Yeah, we're roughly find themselves around each other every race as well. But we are about to go on the final lap already. Very short race, as we mentioned, and it's going to be an exciting finale by the looks of things.
Oh, the weaving from Simon Edwards across the track there. John McGutch has just done the fastest lap of the race, 1:38.771. Is Edwards going to hang on here? Because, as we said, we can't necessarily find places on the track that they can overtake. But I think, will they make an opportunity, or do you think they'll decide, you know what, it's not worth it? I'm in second, I'm in third, so Maxwell, Webster. Do you think they'll go for it? Or do you think, unless it was a mistake, they might make that move?
I think Maxwell does want to go for it. Looking at his car body language going down towards turn number 1 there, it looked like he did want to go through, but I think any sort of move in the last couple of laps would have been basically suicidal for him, so there's just no point in making that kind of low-risk move. I think a 50-50 lunge, he might well be tempted, but a completely 0% no-hoper he's not going to go for. He's got a great run out of turn 9, though, and here is the chance of the race.
Yeah, he's going to try and run him around the outside from turn 10 to 11. Oh. Simon Edwards performed a nose job there on Luke Maxwell. Turned around and said, you're not going to have this. This is going to be mine. Is this going to be Simon Edwards getting this victory? Maxwell's got to get a lot better run. He's got to get on the gas. Oh, he didn't. I think this is going to be Edwards' victory here up front currently at the moment. It's going to be Simon Edwards crossing the line for the sprint race with Maxwell second, Webster third, then three, literally nothing between them as they go over the line. Hutchinson fourth, LeMay in fifth, Busson coming across the line in sixth, Gutierrez seventh, De La Cruz is up 4 into eighth, Graham Brown up ninth, Darrell Taylor into 10th, Steph Brown coming across the line in 11th, Rollo there just on out on 12th, Phil Glover being chased down by David Beasley there as well, Paul Crabb, Paul Clark. They're all coming across the line in quick succession. Martina Ward as well. And then the last one to come across the line is, of course, James Child. So, well, okay. We've seen how difficult it can be. We're going to have these guys towards the back end of the field. How difficult is this going to be? Well, we will find out very shortly. We will just guide you through the results here. Simon Edwards is in first, Luke Maxwell second, Dan Webster third, John McHutchinson in fourth, Paul LeMay fifth, Mike Busson sixth, Austin Gutierrez in seventh, Sergio Cruz eighth, Graham Brown ninth, Darrell Taylor in 10th place. Seth Brown in 11th. David Rolliston missed out on the top 10, missed the win, and got 12th. Phil Glover 13th. David Beasley 14th. Paul Crabb in 15th. Paul Clark down in 16th place. Damien G beyond that in 17th. Martina Ward in 18th. And then James Child comes across the line. What do we think for these guys going into this top 10 reverse? Edwards, you know, it seemed to be difficult. Edwards going to be in 10th. Do we think the moves will be there enough to be able to bolster him forward to the front of the grid, Ewan?
I'm not entirely sure. I do think, if I could put my neck on the line for a prediction that could go wrong, but I'll go for it. The top four of that race may well be the top four of the next race as well. There's significantly more laps. Well, I'll say significantly more, 14 laps. It's not a long race. But I do think they'll have the speed to go through. And you saw the way that John McHutchinson was able to go through the field there. You can overtake those that are, you know, just those few tenths slower than you. When you've got Edwards and Maxwell and Webster up there, they're, you know, almost the same pace to the hundredths of a second. So there's little you can do about that. But when there's whole tenths between you and who you're battling, then things get more tricky. But I think the main priority for those four has to be staying out of trouble in this opening lap, really, because that's really where you're going to lose the race if you are going to. Afterwards, you just got to pick them off one by one. It can be done, but not so easily against those who are of a similar pace as you are.
Absolutely right. We're going to get the grid up for the feature race very, very shortly. As we see them all flicker around, we can bring you the grid up now. So we're going to have Darrell Taylor in first, Graham Brown second, Sergio Cruz in third, Austin Gutierrez fourth, Mike Busson fifth, Paul LeMay sixth, John McHutchinson seventh. Then we've got the top three, Dan Webster, Luke Maxwell, Simon Edwards in 8th, 9th, 10th respectively. Seth Brown in 11th, David Rolliston is in 12th place. Then beyond that, Phil Glover 13th, David Beasley 14th, Paul Crabb 15th, Paul Clark 16th, Damien G 17th, Martina Ward 18th, and James Child down in 19th there as well. Hopefully, we will have Paul Clark get off the line a lot cleaner than he did last time.
Yeah, let's hope so. And let's hope everybody gets away cleanly as well. Can't be underestimated the challenge of getting one of these cars off the line and getting them off the line well as well, because I think that did contribute to John McHutchinson's problems in that last race. They just didn't get off the line that well. That meant that he had a lot of work to do in the race, so it is going to be very important. But those four that finished in the top four as the fastest four in the last race are starting here very much in the danger zone.
Yeah, here we go. 3 lights are on, 4 lights, 5 lights. And we are off for this 14-lap feature. There was nobody really cleared the line. Busson's going down the order. Gutierrez got an absolute flyer. He's currently sitting in 3rd place behind Graham Brown and Darrell Taylor. He's just got up the inside of Taylor. There's a big lunge from Webster.
Oh!
Webster and Maxwell made up 4 positions, and they've only just got off the start line. Round turn 1, Paul LeMay is in the mix as well, and so is Simon Edwards. What we're predicting has happened at the beginning, and these guys have made unbelievable gains already. They're literally 4 places up and more, so incredible.
Oh yeah, they didn't really listen to me about taking things cautiously though. They just went full on, late on the brakes. I'm going to send this into turn 1, and it did pay off. Dan Webster still sending it. Turn 5 this time, and he's got the position as well. Into the top 3 on the opening lap from Dan Webster. Very, very impressive indeed. 5 places in less than half a lap, and he's putting some distance between himself, Edwards and Maxwell, who have been able to stay together. Oh, LeMay goes around in front of them, and Simon Edwards is caught up in it.
Yeah, Martina Ward, Damien G, all involved as well. James Chard, Phil Glover. Here comes Paul Crabb. Is he going to make it? There's Martina Ward. Paul Crabb.
Edwards is back in the pit lane.
He's
too
gone.
Damaged, way too damaged. He's gone.
Yeah, Simon Edwards. And this is how it happened here from Simon Edwards here tonight as well. We're going to try and make sure we get it in the right one. Here we go. Seeing there behind LeMay. Oh, yeah, Brown went off. LeMay checked up. And there we
Edwards
go.
who got into the back of LeMay then.
Oh,
and he gets clattered.
Yeah. Phil Glover as well, and James Chard.
Yeah. So many drivers caught up in that, but just a concertina effect really, and Edwards wasn't quite ready for the braking on the exit of turn 7 and 8, and I suppose why would you be? So, yeah, you can't really blame him too much, but he's the one that's come off worst out of all of that, out of everybody, and that's really scattered the field now for this race, really spread the field out, and arguably helped John McCutcheon a little bit. He did have to slow down to avoid a lot of incidents there, but the field being more spread out means he can pick them off one by one now, and he might be able to make his way to the podium, although it will be difficult. It's not a long race.
Yeah, and that all started from Graham Brown checking up, which then checked up Paul LeMay, and next thing you know, everybody behind, it was just absolute carnage. And really, Rollo's up as well. David Rollison is now into the pits. He is going to be gone, I think, as well on this one. So poor David Rollo has called it a days in the pits with Edwards, Beasley and Ward, and that was one hell of a clatter from Martina Ward on Simon Edwards there. So after, nothing doing, there wasn't a lot they could do, was they? Brown checked, LeMay checked, Edwards straight into the back, and that's where it all started from.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not a lot that anybody could do about that, really. Wouldn't put any blame on that, but Edwards is back out there again to 16th position. That would grab him 15 points in this race, but it's not very many, but it would add to his 25 from earlier, I suppose, and 40 on the round is not bad at all. So I do think that, well, it's going to be equal with last round, isn't it? He scored 40 points last round, so you get the point about these rounds being able to score a lot more in them, because even today Edwards has scored as many as he did last week when he won the race, so that's why most of the endurance rounds will probably be dropped with the 3 drop scores this season. But anyway, Robert Custon down the inside of Seth Brown, he's up to 7th place, but Dan Webster seems to be struggling for some reason. He was 3rd, got overtaken by Brown, and now overtaken by Maxwell, seemingly with almost no argument at all. There may well be damage on Dan Webster's car.
Here we go.
Just a mistake.
And then, that sausage curb would not have done himself any favours there, Dan Webster. As we go back to live pictures. But you're right, he's under attack from Buson currently at the moment as well. Gretorix is not really getting close to Taylor. I think that's going to be the interesting thing. I think now this is it, isn't it? It's a different ball game now. We haven't got Edwards in contention. There's no chance. Oh, Darrell Taylor's round.
Oh,
Darrell Taylor was absolutely doing a stunning job, and he's now dropped down the order. Faster than my son eating that bag of Skittles there, Mr. Taylor, I've got to be honest, and you're all the way down in 11th place. And that kicked off here, and this is one of the things, Darrell Taylor. Oh. Couldn't get it stopped on the grass even to try and get it back round. And now he's just got to trickle away, and unfortunately everybody else gone round in front of him previously to that. Poor Darrell Taylor. So back we go with Dan Webster up front, being chased down by Mike Buson. Oh, Webster's liking the sausage curbs at the moment, Ewan.
Well, yeah, the concerning thing for me is that, not only did we see that trip through the gravel, but since then he's just not picked the pace back up again. And now Booston behind him, McCutcheon is catching up with Seth Brown as well. And Webster's getting a bit of a train form in behind him, and this is not the pace that we saw from him in qualifying, nor in the first race either. So, pretty concerning, really, for Webster, that he's not able to kind of get back going and get back to catching the leaders again, which he was doing earlier on. So, concerning times for Dan Webster. We saw that incident in isolation, but I don't think this is an isolated incident. He's definitely struggling out there.
Yeah, he is as well. What we are going to try and do is have a catch up with Phil Glover. We're going to drop Phil into the booth. Good evening, Phil. Can you hear me? Phil, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Can you hear me?
I can, yeah. What was your bird's eye view of the incident there, Phil? Because you were involved with it with Simon Edwards, Martina Ward, Paul LeMay and everybody else.
Yeah, I think I managed to avoid the first bit of it, and then I collected somebody. I don't know who it was, or they collected me, I'm not sure. But end result is I'm 14th at the moment, I think.
Yeah, you're 14th, got 6.8 in front of you at the moment with Paul Crabb, and 1.8 behind you with James Child, who was also involved in the incident. What's the goal now, Phil, as we're going down along straightaway? What are we expecting from you now?
Well, Paul's pulling away from me, but James is catching me, so I guess I need to try and keep James behind.
Okay, Phil, we'll let you go as you go down into turn one. Thank you so much for joining us. Well, there we go. That was Phil Glover there, who joined us up in the booth for a bird's eye view here of Catalunya. Just to be honest with you, he seemed still quite sprightly spirits, would you say, for Phil Glover there? He didn't really sound downhearted about it. He got caught up in the incident. He knew he did. He's now battling to try and keep James Child behind him, but he didn't seem not the normal where I'd have to jump on the beat button, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I mean, we always hear Phil Glover like that, to be fair. We speak to him after most races, and it's pretty upbeat about the day, no matter what has befallen him. So yeah, I don't think that's out of the ordinary, really. He's overtaken Paul Crabb there. It must have been a mistake from Paul Crabb, so he's even more of a battle now. But that was Luke Maxwell you were watching, just trying to go down the inside of Graham Brown there into turn 10, but couldn't quite do it. And now Webster and McCutcheon and Mike Booston might all be here very soon.
Yeah, I think this gap is going to close up very, very quickly. We've got Graham Brown in currently second place. Austin Gretorix is about 3.5 seconds up the road. As you say, Phil Glover did get Paul Crabb, and it was because Paul took a trip off track. So Phil has now got Paul Crabb tucked up right behind him at the moment as well. James Child's been involved. It looks like he's gone round again on his own. He has. Up front, Luke Maxwell, Graham Brown is down. Webster going to make this down into three wide down into turn one. Is Brown going to run Maxwell on that inside line? No, Maxwell gets it. Can Brown stop Webster? He can't. So whatever pace issues we think Webster had, they're overcoming, because he seems to be picking up the pace a little bit.
Yeah, maybe not damage, but maybe just psychological, really, looking at it now. It might well have just been psychological after that mistake. Wasn't quite able to pick up the pace, but now he is again. He's back with Maxwell. McCutcheon trying to come along for the ride as well, and he is doing with that move on Brown. Mike Booster wants to be involved, but can't quite get through for the moment. We'll see if the three of them can catch Austin Gretorix, who's got quite a lead at the moment, 4 seconds. And I have to give credit to Colin Wynne, who predicted that Gretorix would win about at the end of lap 1. So I'll give him it, and he's looking good for his prediction at the minute.
Yeah, he has. I want to pick up here Paul Graham Brown settling in second. He went round the complex of 4, 5 and 6. And now he just looks like he's just getting bullied out the way. He kind of got bullied out the way from Maxwell, Webster and McCutcheon. You know, it was almost like bullies on the playground stealing his lunch money. And unfortunately for Graham Brown, he's now got to go hungry because he just got pushed out of the position, didn't he? He just got bullied out of it.
Well, I think that's what you've got to expect when you kind of benefit from a reverse grid. You know that the fastest drivers are going to be behind you, and unfortunately he's beaten himself there, going for a spin out of turn 13, and gets back going again now, but this is going to be 12th place and miles away, I'm afraid, for Graham Brown.
Oh, he's definitely got no lunch now. That's it. You're done, Graham Brown. Some of the kids run off with your money. But Maxwell and Webster now are going to be coming here. This is going to be the battle for second and third. I think this is going to rumble on for at least the next 7 laps. The gap to Gretorix is down to back out at 3.8. Did drop to 3.6 at one point. Can they catch him? Can they get Austin Gretorix?
If they don't fight, they can get there. I think they've got enough laps, but I think Webster will want to fight. I think McCutcheon will want to fight. Oh, there's contact there, definitely. Webster got on the brakes too late. Maxwell's been pushed wide. Webster didn't want to overtake as a result, and so John McCutcheon's going to go through here, surely. Down the inside. Oh, no, he doesn't want to benefit either. He just backs off going into turn 7. I wonder if McCutcheon is trying to organise these guys to work together a bit. They still got half the race to catch Austin Gretorix, but they really need to work together very, very well if they're going to catch him.
Yeah, the gap's out of 4 seconds now. It has gone out. Paul LeMay looks like he's battling away in there with Dela Cruz and Paul Clark and, of course, Darrell Taylor. Never mind Taylor, lap 3, leading the way there as going into turn 10, unfortunately for Darrell Taylor. He went round and unfortunately dropped all the way down the order, but it is going to be getting spicy up front here very, very shortly. Gretorix is in the pit lane.
Oh, no.
Huh?
That is very strange.
Did he not recalculate for the extra laps?
Maybe not, because it is the end of the next lap would be the end of the sprint distance. Is it fuel related? We'll wait and see. Does he wonder? Maybe I do wonder whether he knows that this race doesn't have a mandatory pit stop, because the main races or the endurance races do slightly longer. They require a pit stop. I wonder if he knows that today there is no pit stop required. Let's hope that that isn't just it's clearly some kind of mistake, because you'd never plan to pit in one of these races.
Yeah, something's obviously gone in where we were trying to catch Austin after this to find out what happened there as well. So that alone has put a dent into Simon Edwards, hasn't it? Because now Maxwell's in front, Webster second, McCutcheon third.
Yeah, absolutely. As I said, I don't think Edwards will be fretting about it too much, because it's probably going to be one of his drop rounds at the end of the day, really, and so I think he will he'll realise that, and it won't be too big of a deal for him unless he can overtake one more driver, I suppose, and then it might not be one of his drop rounds. But anyway, it doesn't really matter where these guys are at this stage. He's accepted that he's going to lose some points today, but he's still going to have a pretty healthy championship lead, I would imagine. Even if McCutcheon wins this race, I can't see McCutcheon getting much closer than 25, 30 points away from Edwards at the halfway stage of this season.
Yeah, you can see in the background there, Seth Brown, Paul Clark, Paul LeMay, Dela Cruz and Darrell Taylor all in there as well. These front guys are battling it away. Damien G is going to be coming towards us. He has got Darrell Taylor right in front of him. Is he going to be looking at making his move into turn 1? Martino Ward is behind them as well. Nothing doing this time around here for Damien G. He's going to have to try and have another go on the next lap, I would have thought. As we said, the infield is very, very tricky to pass, but these guys are still battling away up the front as well for the front 3. Mike Busson's trying to hang on. He almost needs to cast a fishing rod out the window to catch up onto the wing so McCutcheon can pull him forward, I think. But he is losing a little bit of time as the laps roll on.
I think this could well come down to a similar situation to what we saw in the feature race, really, where Webster, sort of probes for the laps until the very end, where he's going to end up making a low percentage lunge that, in the end, Maxwell will fairly easily be able to defend. I think when you've got three drivers so similar on pace, it's very difficult to actually make anything happen. But if Webster did take any notes from that battle in the sprint race, he was third, watching it from behind. If he did take any notes, then I think he should have noted down that you need to start trying to make these moves earlier than the last lap, because they do take laps to come off, and they are difficult to pull off. So you need to give yourself as many chances as possible, and he needs to start attacking right now, really, to give himself as many chances as possible.
Damien G is on the attack of Darrell Taylor. Damien G, Sports Sim Racing bumped the curb then. He looked like he was on for getting on for a better run out of that long corner, to be honest, but he unfortunately hit the curb, and unfortunately there's nothing. I don't think he's going to be able to get him. It's going to be a lunge and a half if he can. No, not this time around, but he looked like he got a better exit, didn't he? And then he hit the curb, and then it kind of all went wrong.
Well, yeah, he hit the curb because he had nowhere to go. He had that better exit, as you say, but Darrell Taylor had his car on the way, and Damien G didn't have anywhere to go with it. Similar to what happened through turn 3. He had a run there, as you could see, and he was faster through that corner, but didn't have anywhere to go other than straight into the back of Darrell Taylor, which he's not going to do. So he's got to stay behind. He has stayed behind, and he might now try and go in front. Oh, he brakes very early, though, banking on Taylor going really out wide, and unfortunately, he didn't do that for Damien G. Could have gone a lot deeper into that braking zone.
Yeah, I think he could have sent it in there a little bit longer. And held on. The car would have held probably, but then again, as we know, you were up in the booth for a specific reason. I don't know about you, my driving skills ain't that good, mate. You know what I mean? So that's why I sit here talking about it most of the time.
No, I actually got a nickname in a league I used to race in for hitting people in the back and braking too late. So yeah,
Let me ask what that nickname was. Is it child friendly?
It doesn't make much sense. So. Yes, but it doesn't make much sense, really. But no, it doesn't make sense to anybody, even me. But yeah, I certainly was bad for it, to be honest. Darrell Taylor, well, there's the exit for Damien G, and they're going to run pretty much side by side towards turn 1 now.
Yeah, G is on the right-hand side of your screen there. Darrell Taylor in the Skittles on the right. Here we go. And it is going to be Damien G. Darrell Taylor just kind of lets him take his line, and Damien G is now up into ninth, setting on his way after Sergio Martinez de la Cruz. Further up, Paul Clark. Don't forget, guys, go check Paul's iLounge Racing on iloungeracing.co.uk. We are up there on February the 11th, doing some media work up there as well. I'm travelling up in the wee hours of the morning. So if you are around where iLounge Racing is and you want to get yourselves involved, have a chance to come and have a chat with me, get on camera, you know, we're going to do some interviews and things like that. Head up to iLounge Racing on February the 11th. Now, what I remember as well as you do sit here and watch the race, don't forget to head over to the JPB Instagram. Like, follow and share our post there as well to be in with a chance of winning £50 worth of iRacing currency, I'm going to call it, once we get to 300 followers. So go over to JPB on Instagram, like, follow and share the post, and when we hit 300 followers we will do the £50 giveaway for iRacing currency, I guess we would call it as well. Martina Ward, unfortunately, looks like she may have had an incident here as well. It could be, but it looks a bit a lone one.
Right. Yeah, but it looks like it. I think Austin Gretrox has also had a problem here. I hope they're not related. Well, not family-wise, but on the circuit. Martina Ward is just pulling off there. Not sure why Gretrox has fallen down the order. He is actually outside the top 10 again now. So even further down, he is out the race. So something has clearly gone very wrong for him.
Yeah, let's have a quick look. There is Gretrox there. Rolling down into turn 10, which, as we know, has claimed a couple of scalps, and it was the...
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
Just too early on the power coming out of turn 10, and that's enough. He's seen enough.
Yeah.
As Gretrox, and you can understand why. I don't know what mistake he made in the early moments of this one, pitting after 7 laps, pitting on the halfway mark, but he's yeah, unfortunately retired from the race now, which is a big disappointment for him. But the battle that we were promised between the top 3 doesn't look like it's going to happen now with 3 laps to go, because Maxwell has gotten away from Dan Webster, and McCutcheon doesn't look like he could really get close to Webster either, so front 3 just spreading apart really.
Yeah, they're kind of separated, aren't they? John McCutcheon is down. Looks like he's got about a second over Webster. Webster's got about a second in front as well. And the main battle is kicking off here in this middle section with Paul Clark, Paul LeMay, Sergio Martinez and Damien G. So looks like Darrell Taylor may have been, he has, as he sits there waiting patiently, off, unfortunately for him. So Darrell there not doing well. But in the middle here, Paul Clark and Paul LeMay, Sergio Martinez and Damien G. This looks like this could be the battles that we were thinking.
Yeah, so further down we certainly got the battles that we wanted, but maybe up towards the front we're lacking them a little bit. Damien G going to look to try and go through here, and he does have a lot of pace, as you can see. Outside line of De La Cruz, late on the brakes this time, and he's shown what he can achieve when he goes late on the brakes. This time into turn 1, but he gets the position without too much of a major problem. So, yeah, that's good to see for him. LeMay now will be looking over his shoulder a little bit worried, because WG does look very quick.
Yeah, it looks a bit more racy as the laps have come on in towards the end here. We're on lap 13, you know, there's only one more to go. So it does look quite interesting there as well. I want to pick up James Charlie. Looks like he's gone round in turn 1, the recovering SR10 there. So we'll jump back here up front. The gap has come down but between a second, but it looks like here could deliver us more action than the front 3. They seem to have dropped back somewhat. Maybe we can have a chat with some of these after as well, I think, over there as well. I did just try and get hold of Austin Gutierrez to find out what the situation was. Haven't got a response currently, but we will try and find out as we come to the end of the race. The leaders are going to be coming around, taking the last lap very, very shortly, with Luke Maxwell, Dan Webster and John McHutchinson, your current front 3, as they come across the line for the final lap of the race. That is it now. And they look pretty settled, Ewan, to be fair, didn't they?
Yeah, they look very settled, and it has done for a little while now. Impressed that Maxwell has been able to pull away. He's really found an extra gear in the final moments of this race, really. It's not a case of Webster slowing down, as you can see by the fact he's gotten away from McHutchinson, who's getting away from Booton. So it's not a case of Dan Webster slowing down, but it's a case of Luke Maxwell speeding up, or at least not slowing down with the tyres at the rate of everyone else, if that makes sense. He's certainly getting away from the rest now at this stage, is Luke Maxwell, and should go on to take this race win. And his first of the season, of course. No, it's the second of the season, sorry. But he, yeah, is surely going to take this now and maybe put himself back on the map in terms of this championship. He is quite far adrift at this stage, but it's not too late to get back involved.
Okay, so an update from Austin Gutierrez. Yes, buddy, completely forgot about fuel. So there we go. Austin Gutierrez making a mistake, completely forgetting about fuel. So who needs fuel to power a car? Clearly not Austin. So there we go. But we've got Luke Maxwell coming round the final. He's round at turn 12 at the moment, before we drop down into 13 and finish off this race. And it hasn't really disappointed. You know, we had the big one at the beginning. We see big ones in NASCAR, not generally in SR10s, but there was currently 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 drivers involved in that first lap incident. And Luke Maxwell comes across the line to take the victory. Dan Webster does as well. I want to find out here, Damien G, Paul LeMay, they're going to throw the car at each other.
Yeah, looks like the two of them have come together. De La Cruz has certainly benefited from it, getting through on both of them into 7th place. But yeah, that was going to be argued about a little bit, and there's yeah, certainly going to be a story to be told there.
Yeah, let's. Oh, okay. All right, fair one. And then Damien lets him through. I'm going to take he let him through. Do you reckon?
Yeah, oh, definitely.
Yeah, he definitely let him through, didn't he? So that's what happened there as well. Damien G taking somewhat of an audacious lunge at the end there as well, but we are just waiting for Darrell Taylor, who's had somewhat of a rotten time, spun out on lap 3 into turn 10 from the lead, and unfortunately didn't manage to, he was doing really well, to be honest, wasn't he? And I thought Darrell might have been there or thereabouts at the end, but unfortunately he didn't. Simon Edwards coming across the line as well. Simon all the way down in 15th place. So there we go.
Yeah,
that's
he
unusual.
He gained another place, actually, didn't he? So he has scored 16 points now, which would be more than what he gained at last race. So I do think that so far, every one of his endurance races are going to get, or at least the two endurance races, because I don't believe he scored lower than 40 in a sprint and feature format race, which is the maximum you can score in an endurance. So I think that ride may well count by the end for Simon Edwards. We'll obviously see at the end of the season.
Yeah, there we go. Luke Maxwell is in first, Dan Webster second, John McCutchinson third, Mike Bousson fourth, Seth Brown fifth, Paul Clark sixth, Sergio Cruz seventh, Paul LeMay eighth, Damien G ninth, Graham Brown in 10th, Phil Glover in 11th, Paul Crabb 12th, Darryl Taylor 13th, James Child 14th, Simon Edwards 15th, David Beasley 16th, Austin Gretorix down in 17th place. Forgot to put fuel in there as well. Martina Ward in 18th and David Rolliston down in 19th. Now, Rollo did appear in chat. Unfortunately, I can't read that message out, but he didn't like Barcelona very much, should we say. So there we go. But overall, I think it was a good race. I like the feature race. You know, we did have that chaos, but at the end of the day, the battle that we thought was going to happen didn't really materialise at the end either, did we? We didn't see Maxwell, Webster and McCutchinson go at it, I suppose, as much as we thought they were going to be.
No, and I think that's a lot down to Luke Maxwell, to be honest. The fact that he was able to be really, really quick towards the second half of that second race. Not that he wasn't quick before, but just had that extra level over the rest to take the full 40 points there. So, yeah, he's done himself a world of good there. Came into today 93 points adrift of Simon Edwards, and he will have gained a few points back, and he will have overtaken Paul Clark in the standings as well. So he'll be up to fourth now. Yeah, he could be pretty satisfied with his evening. Yeah,
I think, to be fair, anybody that does well here can be satisfied in general. I think they've got to be looking at going forward, haven't they? You know, we've got Dan Webster waiting for us in the waiting room. Let's bring him in to the booth. Good evening, Mr. Webster. How are you, sir?
I'm very well, thanks. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm always good, mate. You know, just sat and watched some great racing again. Overall, not a bad evening of racing for you.
No, pretty good that. Yeah, very good actually. I probably did better in the second race than I expected. So yeah, it's good. Really good.
Okay. We saw you get up the line. We're watching you now going through turn one. You'd gained up 4 places by the end of turn one. You gained up further places on the way through. And then what was there an incident in the middle? Did you have damage? Because you did seem to drop off a little bit.
No, I locked a wheel early on, and then as soon as you lock a wheel on these things, you lose a lot of grip. So the next corner I ran wide and got to slow down, and it all went badly wrong. And then I had a great race trying to chase Luke, but sort of 3 or 4 laps from the end, Luke seemed to find another gear and just disappeared. So yeah, nothing went wrong apart from a little lock up and run wide. Apart from that, it was great.
Oh, good. Well, you know, onwards and upwards. 1 second place, 1 third place. Not a bad points haul at all for the evening. And then we go into Bathurst, Dan. What's the general consensus for yourself at Bathurst?
I like that track. I usually go fairly well there as well, so I look forward to that.
So could we be sitting there saying, Dan Webster, you're winner at Bathurst?
I don't know. Maybe. Hopefully. We'll see.
Hopefully as well. But Dan, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to before you leave the booth this evening?
Ken Bruce this week. He's leaving Radio 2. I can't believe it. But he's going to another station and he's taking Popmaster with him, so it'll be all right.
Okay, excuse me. I don't know who he is. So
you don't know who Ken Bruce is?
No.
Wow. Even it's not even a.
I don't.
Yeah, you should know, James.
Don't suck up, Ewan. You know.
No, I'm just saying.
Hold on, I'm having a Google.
Just listen to Radio 2 tomorrow morning at 10:30. All will be revealed.
All right. Well, what time's the offer? Because I'm at work then. You know what I mean? I don't think my headmistress would allow me to sit there listening to Radio 2 while I'm trying to teach children maths.
They'll enjoy it. Trust me.
Will they? All right. Well, I'll have a listen then as well. You know, I thought I was old, but clearly I have no idea who he is. But Dan, thank you so much, buddy, for joining me, and we look forward to chatting to you again as the season goes on.
Yeah. Brilliant. Cheers, guys.
Take care. Do you know who he is then, you?
Yeah, of course I do. Yeah. I'm very surprised you don't. Actually,
has he always been radio though? Because I don't generally listen to the radio.
No, I don't either. But I still know.
Oh.
Just iconic.
Oh, all right. Sorry. Right, let's bring Luke Maxwell into the booth here with us. Good evening, Luke. How are you, buddy?
Yes, good. Yeah, much. Yeah, good. Very good evening. Thank you.
Yeah, it was not a bad night, was it? You know, first and a second.
Yeah, it's about time I pulled a decent result, isn't it? Really, this season's been a builder, I think, so far. Fair to say.
Yeah. Did you think you would get the win in the feature?
Not from P9, but you never know what's going to happen, do you, with the field there? And I think I had good pace in practice. I'd come for a fairly conservative feature race setup, just to try and look after the tyres, because I tried to run the same setup as the 8-lap race, and I was killing the tyres pretty much after 8 laps. So I kind of went a bit conservative and thought, well, let's take it easy. But it's like the green light goes out, and everyone just goes, and it's a bit of chaos on the first lap. I think Simon got caught up in something just in front of me, and I kind of got on the brakes, but it was too late to do anything. It was right behind him. So
yeah, well, Graham Brown inadvertently started that off with a slow exit out of 10 on the run through, and then he checked up. Turn 10. Was it 10? Yeah, I'm sure it was. And then he checked up, and then Paul LeMay checked up, and then Simon Edwards went into the back, and then he got absolutely thumped from Martina Ward as well, and it literally that was it. He was round a good few times after Martina Ward hit him, but overall,
I definitely made contact, but I didn't pick up any damage, so it was the car looked fine at the end and managed to. I think I was running maybe a bit more downforce than some others. I think it was a bit slower on the straight, but picked up on the high speed corners, which worked well.
Yeah, but I can only say there were 7 cars involved in that incident.
Ouch.
So, and as I say, it was started off unfortunately with Graham Brown checking up, and then LeMay checked up, and then it all went wrong. But overall, not a bad evening of racing for you, Luke. Is there anyone you want to give a shout out to before we let you go this evening?
I'll give a shout out to all you West Country boys, I think.
Hey. Us down in Somerset, mate. My high street is shorter than Road America. Literally, Road America is long, and this one. I could probably fit my high street in the pit box. You know what I mean?
Nice part of the world, though.
Yeah, we are. Thank you, mate, and we'll look forward to chatting you as the season goes on.
Cheers, guys. Yeah, take care.
Take care. Right, I want to bring Phil Glover in, because Phil did have quite a good recovery in the end. Good evening, Mr. Glover. How are you, sir?
Now then, I'm not too bad. There were a fair bit of things to keep me occupied during both those races.
Yeah. When we talked to you, you were down in 14th, but you finished in 11th. Not a bad one at all.
Yeah, Paul decided to throw it off just before the last, 500 metres, didn't they? So, because we had a little tussle with Paul, I was following him then, and I think I got distracted a bit and ended up going off. So, I managed to keep, was it Jamie? I managed to keep Jamie behind as well, so...
Yeah, Paul Crabb, Darryl Taylor, and James Child, and Simon Edwards. There you go.
Yeah. Well, it's not very often you see Simon spin in front of you. I think he got caught up in something, didn't he?
Yeah, he was involved in a 7-car incident that kicked off right at the beginning, basically, with, as I just said to Luke, Graham Brown checked up, Paul LeMay checked up, Simon Edwards went in the back, and then he took an absolute thump from Martina Ward, and that was it. And then obviously that was the one that you were involved with as well, with James Child, and it all went a bit chaotic. But look, overall, not a bad evening of racing for you, Phil, would you say?
Not too bad, was it? Not too bad, really, considering. You always wonder where you would be if there were no incidents that you're involved in. That's always a dangerous game to play, isn't it? But I'm pretty happy with that, really.
Awesome stuff, Phil. Well, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to before we let you go this evening?
Well, I think my mate Roy's watching again, and I told him it was Barcelona, so he said he was going to be in the grandstand in his shorts. But I couldn't see him.
Oh, so, did you try looking out the window?
I don't drive quick enough to not be able to notice people. So.
Oh, well, there you go, Phil. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll look forward to having a chat with you maybe in Bathurst next week.
Yeah, take care. Cheers, James. Cheers.
Well, all in all, not a bad evening, was it? Everybody seemed upbeat. They all happy about it as well, and they all did well, I think, overall. And that's one of the positives that these guys can take out of this race going into Bathurst next week.
Yeah, it was another good round, and they'll have to get used to this format now. The sprint and feature format is going to be a recurring theme over the next 6 weeks. Bathurst next, that's going to be a really interesting one with the feature race coming up, because of the reverse grid, of course. So that's, one of many challenging ones. I think that one, Alton Park and Brands Hatch, also quite tricky, really, to do reverse grid races on. So there's a good few that are going to be very, very nervy for this next few for these next few weeks. So looking forward to it once again, and looking forward to the second half of the season starting next week.
Yeah, absolutely. There you go, guys, as well. Thank you so much to everybody who has joined us. Again, Colin Whitney just called it iRacing Dollars. All right, well, we are giving away £50 worth of iRacing Dollars over on Instagram once we hit 300 followers. You've got to share, like, and follow JBB. That is it. Go over and do that on the Instagram. That would be absolutely amazing. Right, that is going to bring the end of the broadcast. I'm clearly off to Google Ken Bruce and find out about Ken Bruce. But from us up here in the booth, guys, as always, take care. Have a great week. And you never know, might see you on the track sometime. Good night.